It's a big day. It feels big. Some of it feels really heavy. And as someone who loves live concerts, my heart is full. So, my friend, I'm so glad you are here. Please listen with your heart and soul. Grab your legend pad, crank your speaker carefully to 11. Welcome to Legend. As someone who loves music, loves live concerts, has been clamoring for the thrill of seeing my favorite performers live and in their own element. And more than that, as someone who has very much noticed the absence of the energy of that crowd in that experience, I understand going to a live venue and it getting out of control. I understand after more than 20 months of not being able to see your favorite people that the energy gets huge, it gets high, it gets palpable. And I understand with so many people in a small space, things don't always go the way you wanted them to, that you planned. For those who attended Astroworld and the Travis Scott concert, your story is probably not what you expected it to be. I cannot imagine what those people are going through. Those who lost loved ones, those who witnessed it, those who are injured, those who are still visiting the injured in the hospital, the staff in the stop team, the artists, and even those reporting on it. I can't imagine. I don't want to get my head fully around that level of shock, that level of trauma. This is not the first time an event like this has ended in tragedy. Now, I listened to some of the experts who were analyzing what had happened and why it had happened, what could have been handled differently. Perhaps some of this could have been prevented. And I realized hindsight's 2020, right? We all can look back at something and go, oh, we should have done it this way. But really, a couple of things are standing out to me that I wanted to share with you. First, the similarity and the difference between this concert in Texas this week and one about 21 years ago in Germany. Both performers, Pearl Jam, Travis Scott, both of them are known for high energy concerts. They are known for inciting the crowd, for encouraging high energy and creating a space of chaos that invites crowd surfing, stage diving. Like, it is a full body experience to go to one of their concerts. Both performers had in place, at whatever level, teams and security that were designed specifically to handle an audience in distress. That phrase, an audience in distress. A rescue team, they had a rescue team and they had a plan that was set up ahead of time, ready to deploy if needed. Now, last week, some of the differences, last week, amid the chants of the audience, "Stop the show," the performer sang on. For 40 minutes after security had pulled bodies from the arena, had proclaimed it a mass casualty event, the performer sang on. Stopped momentarily, noticed what was going on, and continued the set. He finished the set. 21 years ago, the band was performing and they experienced a crowd surge similar to the one last week. They stopped the show. Security and the stop team pulled the bodies from the crowd. The band was done for the night. They did not finish the set. The concert was over, ending without encore, but with shock and loss. Now, the second thing that I'm noticing is honestly still playing out. I hope it ends well. What happens after the event? What happens after the most terrible thing you can imagine actually happens? Amid the announcements to pay for funeral costs, to refund tickets, to offer mental health support. Wow, that seems like a lot, right? Like, that's a lot. If you think all 50,000 people, approximately, I think it's 50,000 people in Houston, we're going to refund all the tickets. We're going to pay for the funeral costs. We're going to offer mental health support to people there. That's a huge, like, the number keeps adding up in your brain, right? That's a lot. It's a lot of money that venue has to refund or the performer has to let go of. But what else? 21 years ago, That band responded very similarly after the event. They offered to pay for all the things. They offered to pay for the funeral, they offered to pay for the medical expenses, they offered to refund all the tickets, pay for the venue. I mean, this is a band who has been so highly looked forward to their performance, and they didn't finish it. So they've got a lot of disappointed attendees, plus the actual tragedy. So in addition to that, though, 21 years ago, they visited the families of those who had lost loved ones personally. The band members, not a reporter, not a representative, the band members. And they've been keeping in touch with those families consistently for more than 20 years. They held a memorial 20 years later to recognize the loss, to share those stories, and to support the journey of recovering from such a tragic loss. Do you feel the difference between the transactional nature of here's your money back and here's your money back, how can I walk this journey with you? Now again, it's still playing out. This is not a judgment, not a shame and blame, because really the truth is, somewhere in each one of our lives, we have made these kinds of missteps. Maybe not to this level. We have made these kinds of missteps. Whether we make it out of fear, out of ignorance, sometimes it's out of pride or it's out of arrogance, sometimes we just don't know. And sometimes when we do something, it has a long-term repercussion. But whether it does or doesn't, whether we are tone deaf or we weren't, often it's also about how we follow up. A lot of missteps in the moment can be cured by an absolutely stellar response system that kicks in after the fact. One that is crafted ahead of time and implemented at exactly the right moment in exactly the right brand-aligned way. We know this isn't about business, but it kind of is, right? How are you following up with people, good or bad? If something like this happens, if you have to cancel an event at the last moment, I mean, oh my goodness, in the last 20 months, how many of us have experienced either canceling an event or a podcast or something of our own, or had somebody reach out and say, oh, by the way, we can't do this now. We can't do it live. The last 20 months especially has brought this to a forefront. So we know what happens. But what we do about it, what we plan for ahead of time and how we implement it afterward can make all the difference in the world. When was the last time you experienced something wonderful or terrible? And really, the event itself was overshadowed by the experience after or the lack thereof. When was the last time? Drop me a note. When was the last time you were so overcome by the personal nature of the follow-up that you couldn't wait to re-engage? That's the difference between reacting and responding. So until I get to see you in person, until I get to see you and give you a great big safe hug, stay safe, respond well, and rock on.